Slow the next one down, slow him down.
Parkrun is always a great way to see a fun little part of a place you're visiting, and this week I'm in Guernsey. Guernsey is a funny little place, not part of the UK, geographically closer to France and England, and probably most famous for its cows, or low taxes. The Guernsey Parkrun is a gentle, undulating 2-lap, 5 kilometre course. It starts on a gravel footpath, and the route takes you along compacted stone dust paths and grass tracks. It's a very scenic run, but you have to watch every step. The terrain is mixed and can apparently get quite muddy after the rain, and it rained a lot yesterday. After a wide sweep over the common, you drop back down to the coastal path to complete your first lap, and then you do it all over again. It has a pretty decent turnout, regularly getting over 200 participants, and despite the hills, the average finishing time is almost a minute quicker than the global parkrun average. We'll see today if that's just fast locals or a fast course. Countdown from the race director.
Ready to go? On your mark. Get set. Go!
And we're off. I love a strong start and thought I was doing pretty well, but as you'll see, this kid sprints up on the left and a fella from Deloitte on the right, quickly followed by a man in a green Guernsey top. I clocked both the men before the race started and they're looking pacey, so with these three leading us away, I'm sat in 4th place. We were warned about the waves crashing over the wall before the start, but I think I'll be safe from being washed out to sea as I check behind to see if there's anyone who's already catching me. This was pretty uncomfortable on the feet. I was wearing trail shoes, but the uneven and large stones made bowling ankles a very real possibility. The younger fella in the red t-shirt there gets reminded by his mate to pace himself and wisely sits up, promoting me to 3rd here, but the top two are pulling away and I'm already struggling at 3:30 minutes per kilometre. Now that's PB pace for me, and that was a PB I got back in 2016, so I don't think I'm going to be catching them anytime soon. Unless they're going to be dropping back, but as I say that, we go across some sand and I'll be honest, I'm already feeling it in my legs, and we're only 300 metres in. Now, one thing I love about this course is there's all these little variations of slightly different routes you can take, and having clocked the bloke in green wearing a Guernsey top, I made the bold assumption that he's a local, so I'm going to be following his lines. But that does mean having to keep him in line of sight, which is easier said than done. You can see that they've already started to pull away with black Deloitte shirt, taking the right-hand path. I'm going to follow the left-hand path here though, as that's the route the Guernsey green took. And the first of our little hills. Now, this route is pretty much up and down the whole way as I look back to see if I've got any sort of gap on 4th and 5th. Yeah, they're not far behind as we come around here, and you can see it's already going up and down, even if not by much, which is great fun and lovely, but boy, does it tire your legs. You can see my heart rate is already up into the 170s. You can hear some of the wind coming over the camera mic. There was quite a breeze being on the headland. Lovely when it's a tailwind, brutal when it gusts in your face. Now we can see the gap already opened up by the leaders, maybe 40 metres or so. I'm already breathing hard and my heart rate continues to go up, but always got breath to thank the marshal.
Thank you, Marshal.
Oh, my breathing sounds so laboured, and we're not even at 1 kilometre yet. This is a one-way ticket on the pain train. You know, it's never a good sign when you're only at 1k and you're already looking back over your shoulder, checking out what people are doing behind you. And there we are, first kilometre in 3:36. That was tough. And with that kilometre, I passed right by a World War II German bunker. A stark reminder that Guernsey was the only part of the British Isles occupied by Nazi Germany during the Second World War. They were built as part of Hitler's Atlantic wall defence, and whilst many of them have been sealed up or repurposed, very few have been completely removed as they're so solidly built. Back to the course now and through some nice tight corners, which makes it interesting, but did make it hard to keep your speed. Another tight corner onto the sands as I almost swing out into a bush. Hopefully I can take that corner a little better on the second lap. My heart rate doesn't seem to have kicked up too much more, settled down into the 170s, but my pace has dropped. I'm hovering around the 4 minute per kilometre, and as you can see from the shadows, 4th place is caught up on my heels now. Yeah, not exactly what you want, but it might be nice to have a bit of company, and I'll try to stick with him if he decides to make a move around me. More astute of you might have noticed a lot of these little flags in the ground, but they're actually marking out rabbit holes. The course is absolutely littered with them, and the marshals have done a great job of marking out some of the bigger ones, but you still want to make sure you're watching your ankles as you go over all these ruts and divots. And there goes the 4th place, nabbing 3rd from me as he absolutely flies by and with such a lovely stride. He is cruising and he's pulling away pretty quickly. He was on my heels for a brief moment. I think he was taking a bit of respite in my draft, which makes sense as we're now running almost directly into the headwind. I'm trying to keep up with this bloke, trying not to let him get too far ahead, but I'm not sure about that. That gap is opening up, and we're just about to go up a hill where the headwind is even more intense. It's not ideal conditions, but we're all in the same boat. I really should have stuck with him a little better and tried to keep in his draft on this headwind section. It really is a beautiful course, right? Running through the natural countryside and looking out across the sea. Here on the right, I get cheered on by my goddaughter as I cross the road, thanking the marshals.
There's marshals.
I did think about going down the road here, which I think would have actually been a better choice because it's hard concrete as opposed to this loose gravel I'm on, but I thought I'd stick with the bloke in front, and I wasn't sure if we were allowed to do that because we'd have had to kind of cut the corner there. Once again managed to avoid any spray from the waves, although it was surprisingly warm this morning. I was only wearing a vest and shorts, but in the sunshine at the end, it was starting to toast me. You can see some big sand patches on this path, so when you have the pick of the path, like right now, it's alright. I can run over to the right, but I'm not looking forward to potentially being forced onto that for the final few hundred metres when the rest of the field are running the other way. I've still got the black t-shirt in sight, but I think the podium is looking less and less likely because he is just pulling away since passing me. And as I say that, the first place is coming back the other way, having already done the turnaround with 2nd sat in his draft. Spoiler, Deloitte black t-shirt did get 1st place in the end, managing to kick away from the Guernsey green, who finished 2nd. Coming up to the start-finish line now as we're about to turn around and head out for the 2nd and final lap. And now we have a nice tailwind for this short section, which, I'll be honest, is much appreciated. As we can see, 5th and 6th just passing there. Nice work from both of them. Quite good motivation for me too, because I do not want to get caught. I wanted a podium, and I don't think at this moment I'm necessarily even going to get that, but I certainly don't want to be dropping down any more positions. Heart rate up into the 180s now. The pain train is full steam ahead, but we just got to stick with it. Only another 8 or 9 minutes, and then you're across the finish line. This time, sadly, I can't take the path the Guernsey runner took because I don't want to get too entangled with the other runners. So taking this wider line, and I see now actually there are a few people running down on the concrete, so maybe I should have done that. Maybe that's kind of a little hack, or maybe not, as I see there's a car driving up. Yeah, it's one thing to run into another runner, it's another thing to run into a car.
1 minute. 1 minute.
As you can hear here, I was not happy with my pace. Kilometre 3 was a 3:59. That's a long way off where I wanted to be, but I'm just trying to run on feel, as with this being a trail course and my first run back after the marathon, I can't be too hard on myself. Another thing to note about this course is because you're going up and down so much, your pace is varying so much. You can't ever really settle into rhythm, but for 5k, that's fine, just send it. You can see Yellow Vest, who's currently in 5th, is actually catching up behind me. But I know the course now, I know what's ahead of me, just need to get my head down, keep driving, just ignore the pain from the legs and the lungs. But that's easier said than done. Kind of this girl to allow me to fly through, though Mum looks a little bit confused in the corner, wondering where her daughter's got to. We're starting to catch up with the tail walkers and back markers now. It can be tricky to navigate on these narrow paths. But fair play, they do a great job of getting to the side because they don't need to, it's a single file path. And they're running up behind them, and I'm not even sure these people are part of Parkrun. However, they hear me coming, they pull to the side. I was hoping to have an excuse to complain about being slowed down, losing a couple of seconds, and hopefully catching my breath. I'm looking back a lot now, and there's Yellow Jersey really starting to catch up. As these runners jump out of the way and let me know I'm in 4th.
Slow the next one down, slow him down.
I hope that was clear, it was a joke, but I didn't get any reaction from them. Anyway, Yellow Vest is still fast catching up with me, so they clearly didn't act upon my request. The 4th kilometre was a 4:03, our first one up into the 4s. I think my first kilometre might just about keep me under the 20-minute threshold, but we're going to have to see how the legs and lungs handle the 5th final kilometre. So only 800 metres to go at this point. That's only 2 laps of an athletics track, but I'll tell you, I was blowing. And these hills plus the wind are sapping everything. I think I completely underestimated how much being on trails takes it out of you compared to concrete or being on the track, because I haven't done much trail running in the past couple of months, and I've not done much speed work either, just focusing on the marathon. My legs and lungs are not used to being pushed to the limit quite this much. And it shows, because there goes Yellow. And he's powering through as well. He's also just sat in my wind for a little bit. Sensible decision. I try to do the same, but he has left me. I don't know. At this point, I'm questioning, can I go with him? I try and kick. I try and keep that gap from opening up too much. But he seems to be slowly pulling away now. That's fine. That's respectable. But I really want this 4th place back. Heart rate up at 187. Now, I'm telling you, I'm glad I didn't look at my watch, because I think I may have kind of pulled up at this point had I known where my heart rate was going. Marshals doing an excellent job here. They actually stop a car so that we don't get run over. Don't want participants being run over by a car, especially a learner. Good practice where the hill starts for them too. Now this gets a little bit chaotic. I'm just going to stick with Yellow shirt here, who does decide to go through the car park, although I don't think this is actually advantageous because it's also gravel. It's just a slightly different route around here, but I managed to keep with him, kind of not actual touching distance, but I guess metaphorical touching distance for this section. So far, if I can kick at the end, I think I've got him. See how the flag flies that it's some strong headwind we're going into now though. The pace is saying 4 minutes per kilometre, but I tell you, this felt more like 3:30. That's the power you had to put down to try and battle into this wind. It was tough, and now we're coming out onto this sandy section and having to deal with people coming in my direction as well. I'm going to jump off to the left here, mostly because it meant I didn't have to worry about sidestepping people, but I also think it might have been a little bit faster running on the grass than running on the sandy gravel down there. I say that, Yellow Vest in front is pulling away, even as I dip down into the 3:15s. Am I going to catch him actually? He's looking over his shoulder. I've told you before, people looking over their shoulder, not usually a good sign. That maybe means he's slowing up, so I'm going to kick and we're going to see if I can pull him back. But, you know, okay, he has. He's kicked again. I think that was a look of, watch me as I sprint, and yeah, he's left me in his dust. My heart rate at 187, pace into the 3:30s as we push for the finish. We'll take that path onto the grass and basically have 4 minutes per kilometre as we cross the line. Stop the watch. Oof, that was tough. So, what was my final time then? 19 minutes and 35 seconds. 5th finisher on the day. Although the first finisher didn't register, so I'm sure there's some roundabout logic in which I can argue I'm officially 4th. Anyway, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe, give the video a like, and I'll catch you all soon.